So we haven't seen it yet on our border, but we follow this closely because we work closely with our Finnish partners, and they report a significant increase in third nation citizens that are coming via Russia to their border, clearly orchestrated by Russia in order to create the hybrid pressure on Finland. And Finland has decided to close all but one of their border crossings. The most remote one remains open. And we, of course, coordinate closely with them and we follow the situation, because this is an example that when you are in war, you have a kinetic warfare on the battlefield, occasional attacks on infrastructure, but also these other measures which we tend to call hybrid.
And do these hybrid pressures, as you call it, do they actually work?
Well, I mean, Finland has taken countermeasures, which is to close most of their border crossings to prevent this from working. But, of course, it's complicated, and it requires us to follow on many different fronts, not only the battlefront, what Russia is doing. And Finland is very clear in reporting to us, and we see the same picture, that this is orchestrated because it wants to create the pressure, it wants to divert attention. And, of course, we've also seen activities in the Baltic Sea lately, which are, we don't know exactly what happened, which seems to be commensurate to some kind of general hybrid pressure.
Let's turn to specific support to Ukraine, also one of the topics that you'll be debating here with your colleagues. From a Norwegian perspective, you've said that you're actually going to send fighter jets to Ukraine. Yes. Could you give us an update of where you are when it comes to that?
So for us as Norway, but also as all the allies in NATO, it's strategically important, it's existential actually that Ukraine prevails in this fight, that Ukraine emerges from this as a free, sovereign and independent nation with all possible rights to choose their own path. And in order to do that, we need to keep up the support, keep up the pressure on Russia, and we have been engaged in a long-term civilian and military support package, which is for the moment a 5-year package, which was adopted unanimously by Norway's parliament. I know our Ukrainian friends are very happy by the volume because it's a lot of money, but they're even more happy with the longevity, that it's sort of a long-term process. And for instance, the NASAMS missile system, which is the defense of the primary air defense of Kiev, is a Norwegian-developed air defense system, which works really well. Now we're looking into also contributing with F-16s that we had in our fleet before we bought our F-35s.
How many are we talking about here?
Well, all this is not yet settled, but it's a part of an overall package where several NATO countries coordinate both on providing the airframes, the aircraft, but also the training and equipment so that this can be an effective weapon for Ukraine.
And just to clarify on that point, sir, are you able to give us a timeline of when we'll know precisely how many fighter jets we'll be sending to Ukraine?
Well, I would say in the near future. We are also supporting Romania, and actually right now today there is a fleet of old but refurbished and modernized F-16 flying from Norway to Romania, which also frees up some capacity from Romania to support with other means what Ukraine is doing. So this is an all-allied effort that we coordinate. And in that package is, I think, 32 aircraft.
Now, we're also seeing support for Ukraine essentially dissipating. You have Slovakia stopping support, Hungary blocking certain funds, the US itself also a huge question mark there. And there's also the point that you and your colleagues are perhaps more focused now on what's happening in Israel and the Hamas conflict rather than on Ukraine.
This very meeting today and tomorrow of the NATO foreign minister is one of the main messages that will come out of it, and I know that because we coordinated clearly, is that the support for Ukraine is on, it's strong, and it will be long-term. And it's very important to convey that message, because although most cameras are in Gaza and not there, the long-term interest in making sure that Ukraine prevails remains as strong as ever. And this is a message to President Zelensky, to Dmitry Kuleba, the foreign minister coming here, and to everyone in Ukraine, that we have not forgotten their cause, even if we are also focusing on Gaza. And we need to be able to deal with two major crises at a time. But I would like to say that the way we deal with Gaza also matters for Ukraine, because if the rest of the world sees Western countries as applying different standards to Russia or to what's happening in the Middle East, that will undermine the credibility of our norms in the long run. So Norway and many other allies have been very clear in saying that while Israel has an obvious right to defend itself, that defense has to take place within the same remits of international law, international humanitarian law, as we expect from everybody else. And if we didn't say that, we would be a victim of double standards, and we don't want to be that.